Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again on Hmong Unabridged, the podcast where we talk about what it is like in the United States of America living as Hmong Americans. Today, we are continuing our Hmong folklore stories that we grew up listening to. I am your co-host, Shol.
And I am Panya. Today, we're going to tell you another story that will take up to 2 to 3 episodes worth. We hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoy telling it to you. The title of this story is Tun Chua. Once upon a time, there was an orphan boy named Tun Chua. Every morning, he would walk up the road to the Chinese man's farm and take their cows to the pasture. One day, as he was guiding the cows to the pasture, he saw a giant eagle fly above him, and between its beak was a beautiful green parrot. Tun Chua screamed, "Oh! An eagle snatched someone's parrot! An eagle snatched someone's parrot!" When the eagle heard him, the eagle opened its mouth and dropped the parrot back onto the road. Tun Chua watched as the bird landed on the ground and started moving. He then didn't pay attention to it and went back on his way to go after the cows who had moved on before him. Later, as the sun slowly set, he finished securing the cows in their pen and started walking back home. He came back to the same road where he had seen the green parrot fall. There happens to be a most beautiful woman wearing a stunning, sparkling green dress sitting on the road and blocking it. He said to the young woman, "Sister, can you please move out of the way so I can continue on walking? I must go and cook dinner for the Chinese man and his wife before he yells at me." The young woman, whom we shall name Zeng Gongzhuo, because she wears a beautiful green dress, said to him, "Ah, my parents conceived me here on this road. I cannot move any which way from here. If you are in a hurry, pass over me and go on your way." Tun Chua then answered her, "Then shall I pass over you by the side of the road or by the rear end of the road?" And she answered him, "You can pass by the rear end of the road." So he stepped around the rear end of the road. But as he passed by the young woman, she grabbed his leg and he fell right in front of her. And no matter what he did, he was not able to get back up from where he fell. He said, "Oh no! Help! If anyone can help me up, take me by the arm and I shall wed you. Grab me by the hand and I shall be your bride." So Zeng Gongzhuo grabbed him by his arms and pulled him up to where he replied, "I was just kidding. You are so beautiful. You must be a daughter of some high-rank authority. I can never marry you. It would be too embarrassing for me. So please just get out of my way and I will leave." And again she replied, "You can go ahead and pass over me." And then again he asked, "Then shall I pass over you toward the side of the road or toward the rear end of the road?" "You can pass me toward the side of the road," she answered. "Then I shall pass over you on this side," he said, and started passing over the girl on the other side of the road. However, as he stepped over to the other side, Zeng Gongzhuo swiftly pushed him with her feet, and again he fell onto the ground. And again, no matter how much he tried, he could not get up. So once again he said, "Help! If anyone can help me up, take me by the arm and I shall wed you, and grab me by the hand and I will be your bride." Zeng Gongzhuo asked, "Are you serious this time?" And he answered, "I am serious." So she grabbed him by the arms and pulled him back up to his 2 feet. And no longer able to rescind his offer, he decided to marry Zeng Gongzhuo. And he said to her, "Then let us go, but the Chinese couple will not allow me to stay once I have married. So let's go to their house and ask them for a little bit of rice, and we will go on our way." So Tun Chua went to the 2 old Chinese couple's house and said to them, "Mother and father, today onward, I have gotten married. so I will not be returning to serve you and care for your cows any longer. I will take my leave, but I have to come ask you to give me a small bit of rice so that I can go and make some dinner for my wife." The old Chinese lady said, "If you are married now and no longer wish to serve us, you may go on your way. If you ever want to return, you are always welcome here." And then she took a scoop of rice and gave it to Dunzhuo and let him go on his way. He returned with a small bag of rice and took Zegonzhuo away. As they walked, they did not know where to go, for he had no home. So they kept on walking and walking and walking until they came into a clearing with a small shrub growing in the middle. "Dunzhuo," Zegonzhuo said, "this valley looks very comfortable. Let me tie up this shrub so we may sit under it and make some dinner." So she took the shrub and made it into a small tent for them to sit under and hide under the sun. Dunzhuo told her to sit while he made rice, so he took out a small pot and cooked the rice. He placed the rice in the pot with some water and placed it over a fire. And as the pot started to boil, Zegonzhuo was watching intently, and then suddenly she got up and, quote, accidentally, unquote, knocked the pot over. Zhuo said to her, "Oh, Zegonzhuo, why are you not careful? This is all the rice the old Chinese lady gave us. Now it has tipped over, so what shall we eat? I am so hungry." "I'm so sorry, Zhuo," she answered. "I don't know why I wasn't careful enough when I got up, and now the pot of rice has been knocked over onto the ground. Here, let me make dinner for us." So she made Zhuo sit under the tent and started making dinner. He watched her as she started, wondering what she was going to make for dinner now that the rice had gone bad. She took 2 small pieces of rice grain and placed them in the pot. And then she took 2 small pieces of the shrub and placed them in the pot. How are we going to be full with 2 grains of rice and 2 small pieces of shrub, he thought. But once Zegonzhuo lifted the pot out of the fireplace, the 2 grains of rice became a pot filled with freshly steamed rice, and the 2 shrubs became 2 big, fatty, juicy chicken thighs. So they started eating and continued eating until Dunzhuo became very, very sleepy. "Dunzhuo," Zegonzhuo said, "if you are sleepy, come here and sleep on my lap, and I shall take out the lice from your hair, since you have so many of them." So he went over and placed his head on her lap, and as she started removing the lice from his hair one by one, he started to fall asleep. As he fell into a deep sleep, nothing could wake him up. So Zegonzhuo sent word to her father, and her father sent servants and workers to them to start building a house. Dunzhuo slept for 7 nights and 7 days until he finally awoke. When he awoke, he saw that he was sleeping in a beautiful bed inside a giant room. As he walked out of the room, he walked into an even bigger room with Zegonzhuo sitting on a chair in the living room. Dunzhuo exclaimed, "Zegonzhuo, we must run! We have accidentally come into some Chinese person's house. We must flee now." So he grabbed her hand and pulled her toward the door. Zegonzhuo pulled him back and said, "Husband, this is not a Chinese man's house. This is our house, don't you see? You were asleep for 7 days and 7 nights. And during that time, my father had sent my brothers and all his servants to build this house for us. We've worked and cooked and have celebrated with food and festivities for the past 7 days. If you don't believe me, see there. In the corner of the house, there are the carcasses of the cows and the pigs." So Dunzhuo went to look at the corner of the house, and indeed he saw several carcasses of cows and pigs. And so he finally settled down and was at peace. Zegonzhuo told him, "Now that you're awake, go tell the servants and workers at the farm to come and eat lunch." And so he went. He walked into the valley, and he looked upon the valley where their farm was, and saw all the men and women working for him. He was a little embarrassed to call them servants, for just a couple of days ago he was but a poor orphan boy. So instead he called out, "All you friends and family, please come home and eat some lunch." The workers looked up at him and then back to their work. "Hello, friends and family. Won't you please stop with what you're doing and come back home to eat some lunch?" Again the workers turned their heads towards him, then after a bit returned to their work. And then he finally yelled, "Servants, dinner is ready, come eat." Immediately the workers turned around and rushed past him toward the house, some even pushing him to the ground and stumbling over him, until some servants were able to pull him back up and brought him home. The next day, Zeng Gonzhuo told him to stay home while she goes to the farm to manage the workers, and that she would be home late. But before she left, she said, "While I am away, do not open the front door." So in the Hmong language, we have two different types of doors. We have a dong da, which is the front door or the main door. And then we have a dong zuo, which is the side of the door which people will go through to feed their chickens and the cows, because that's where all the chickens and cows would be at, which is on the side of the house. So in this case, Zeng Gonzhuo was telling him not to open the dong da, which is the front door. And then she told him that door must remain closed for the next 3 years before it can be opened. And so every day as she leaves, she would tell him this, and every day he would comply. After just 3 days, though, he wondered to himself, why is it that whenever she leaves to go manage the servants and workers at the farm, she would tell me not to open the front door, that it should remain closed for 3 years before it can be opened. Why does she keep saying that? Let me go try and open it. So Tu Zhuo went to open the front door. And as he opened the door made a loud sound. Peter! Shocking and scaring him. Wow! No wonder Zeng Gonzhuo told me not to open the door. It's so scary. So he slowly closed the door again, and again the door made a loud sound. Pee-pong! So as he opened and closed the door, the sound was so loud that it reached the King of Heaven. When he heard the sound, he grumbled, "Whatever is this? Wars have been fought and subsided, and it has been 10 years without wars. And yet someone has the guts to intimidate me by creating such a door that would open and close so loudly that it can reach me, the King of Heaven? All of you who are soldiers, governors, and lawmakers, go down to earth and see where the sound came from and who made this door to intimidate me like this." And so they sent someone to earth to check. Home by home, they would ask people, and they will point them to another home. And city by city, they will ask people, and they will point them to another city. Until the soldier searched all around and came to the house of Dunzhuo. And they saw that this house was so beautiful, and it looked like it was newly built, and there was a couple living inside. The husband was handsome, but the wife was beyond beautiful. So the soldiers went back to tell the king, "We have found the house from which the sound of the door came from. It is a newly built house in which a young couple is living. The husband is quite handsome, but the wife is beyond beauty, the most we've ever seen." "The most beautiful woman? As beautiful as my first wife? Oh no, even more beautiful than her. Your first wife is no match." "Even more beautiful than my second wife? No, no, no. She cannot match her either." "Even more beautiful than my third wife? Oh, my king. All of your 9 wives cannot compare to this woman. There is no one more beautiful than that woman." "If she is that beautiful, then I want to go see her," said the king. So he made some preparations and went out to seek the young couple whose wife is the most beautiful. So he told his soldiers, servants and workers to carry him to see the couple in his sedan chair. Once they reached the house, the king told one of his servant girls to go ask the woman of the house to bring him a cup of water. So the servant girl knocked on the door, and Tunjo opened it, and he said, "Oh, sister, what is it that you want today?" "Sir," she said, "the king is passing through and is asking if your wife can bring a cup of cold water so he may drink and be on his way." Tunjo thought to himself, he wants my wife to bring him water? He might see that she's so beautiful and he might try to steal her from me. So he said, "If he wants some water, I will bring him some." So he brought the king a pail of water. "My king, here is the water you asked for," said Tunjo. "Oh no, I will not drink this water from you. I asked for your wife. Go have her bring it to me instead." So Tunjo went to his wife and said, "The king is here and wants you to bring him a cup of water. But I am afraid that when he sees you, he will like you so much that he will steal you from me. What should I do?" Zenggonjo sighed. "Oh, Tunjo, because you didn't listen to me and opened the front door. It made a sound so loud that it brought even the king from heaven here. I shall bring him a cup of water, and hopefully he will go on his way, and maybe there will be nothing to it." So Zenggonjo brought the cup of water to him, and she said, "My king, here is the water you asked for. Please drink and be on your way." When the king looked up at her, she was so beautiful, the most beautiful woman he has ever seen. No one could match up to her. He was so infatuated with her beauty that he forgot to take the cup from her. "My king," she repeated, "I am but your lowly servant. Please take this drink and replenish yourself, and you may be on your way." The king took the cup, and as he drank, he continued to look at her. After giving her the cup, he watched her bring the cup back home. He then told his soldiers to bring him back home, but when he was at home, he could think nothing but about Zenggonjo, and he could no longer sleep or eat. Then he told himself, "I must have her as my wife. There is no other way. I cannot leave her." So he went to Tunjo one day and said, "Ever since I've seen your wife, I've fallen for her. Give me your wife, and I will give you gold and silver." "No, I cannot," he said. "No matter how much gold and silver you give me, I will not give you my wife." The king then went home disappointed, but before he left, he said, "Tunjo, since you will not let me have her, I will go home and bring my fighting rooster. He is the best fighting rooster around. You go and look for a rooster yourself, and we will have them fight each other. If your rooster wins, you may keep your wife. But if your rooster loses to mine, I will surely marry your wife." And then he left. Tunjo sat and thought about his life, and he became so sad. And he said to Zenggonjo, "I was so poor, and now that my life just started, how can I go find a good fighting rooster? I fear I will no longer have you as my wife, my dear Zenggonjo." Then she replied, "See, I told you not to open the door, but you didn't listen. So now the door sounds off to the king, and now he wants to marry me. But do not be afraid, my husband. I will send word to my dad and send you one of his fighting roosters. I will surely win." So after 3 days, her dad sent 2 servants to bring him a rooster. However, that rooster was more of a chick than a rooster. It could barely make a sound, let alone a croak. Tunjo looked at it and wondered, how can this measly little rooster win against the kings? But as the day came near, the king returned. He came announcing to everyone, "Hear ye, hear ye, I am the king of the heaven. I've brought my rooster to fight against Tunjo's rooster. If he wins, his wife may remain with him. However, if I win, I will take his wife to be mine." Everyone got so excited that they rushed to watch the match. When they got there, they saw that the king's rooster was huge and strong. But as they looked over at Tunjo's rooster, All they saw was a tiny, skinny little chick who couldn't even croak a bit, tied to the post. "Oh, 2 kicks and Tunjo's rooster will lose," they shouted. So Tunjo brought his rooster to fight the kings. And as the rooster and the chick fought, the king's rooster rammed over the chick. And the chick stepped back a little bit and a little bit more and more toward the edge of the mountain. And as he reached the edge of the mountain, the chick transformed into a big bear-cat kind of animal and took a bite off of the rooster's neck and decapitated him. Then the bear-like cat transformed back into a chick and ran back to the crowd exhausted. "Oh, see, my rooster is about to win. I am about to marry Tunjo's wife," exclaimed the king. But as they waited, his rooster did not return. So he told one of his servants, "Go, check on my rooster. The chick has returned, but for a long time, mine has yet to return. Go check on him and see where he went." So the servants went and saw that the king's rooster had already died, and its neck was already bitten off. So they brought him back to the king and told him that it had already died. "Impossible! How can this little tiny chick beat my rooster?" the king cried. "This cannot be. Tunjo, I am not pleased with this. In 3 weeks, I will bring my hound to fight against yours. And if you win, you shall keep your wife. But if I win, I shall get her." So the king left. Tunjo again thought to himself, "I don't even have a dog. How can I go against the king?" Again, Zegonjo said, "See, Tunjo, I've told you not to open the front door. Because you did, the sound went to the king of heaven, and now he has come to steal me from you. But do not worry, I will send word to my father, and he will send you a dog, and you will surely win." So she did send word to her father. And after a couple of days, the 2 same servants came by and dropped off a dog. But this dog was barely a hound. It was but a pup, not even an adult, with barely any meat on its bones. So after the 3 weeks had gone by, the king returned with his hound and announced to everyone, "This time I have brought my hound to fight against Tunjo's, and if I win, I will take his wife." So the people rushed over to watch the 2 dogs fight. Again, when they saw Tunjo's dog, they saw a measly mutt that could barely stand on its skinny legs. "Ha ha ha!" the king exclaimed. "This time will not be like the last time. Watch, my hound will surely pounce on this pup's neck and kill it, and then I will take his wife to be mine." So they brought the 2 dogs over to the fighting ground. As the 2 dogs fight, Tunjo's mutt would slowly retreat a little bit at a time towards the walls of the mountain. But once he got there, it transformed into a giant tiger and snapped the neck out of the king's hound in 2. Then he transformed back into a mutt and ran back with its tails between its legs towards the crowd. "Oh, see this mutt running with its tail between its legs. Tunjo's wife will surely be mine," said the king. But the king's dog never returned, no matter how long they waited. "Servants, go check on him. What if the same thing happened to him like it did the rooster?" So the servants went to look for his dog and again saw that he had already died by the side of the mountain and brought it back. "How can this happen?" said the king. "I've lost yet again. Tunjo, in 3 weeks, I will bring my bull to fight against yours. If yours win, you shall keep your wife, and if mine wins, I will take her." Again, Tunjo thought to himself and became sad again. "See, Tunjo," his wife said, "I've told you not to open the door, and you did. Because the sound reached the king, he came to steal me. But do not worry. I will send word to my father, and he will send you a bull, and it will surely win." So again she sent word to her father, and in a couple of days the same 2 servants brought Tunjo a bull. But it was merely a calf. It was still skinny with a small lump for its horns. After the 3 weeks, the king returned with his servants, dragging his bull behind him, and it was huge and strong. "This time," he said, "my bull will stab his bull to death, and I will surely take his wife to be mine." When they got there, they saw that the bull that was tied to the side of the house was but a calf, barely an adult with 2 lumps for its horns. "See, this bull is but a calf. mine shall strike it dead." So they brought the two bulls to the valley and have them start fighting. The king's bull was so strong that it rammed into the calf, flipping it here and there. So the calf backed up little by little towards the back of the mountain. And once it reached the back of the mountain, it transformed into a giant wild ox. It was so strong that it plowed the king's bull with its horns through the bull's neck, and the bull fell down and dropped dead at once. The wild ox then transformed back into a calf and ran back towards the crowd, exhausted. The king exclaimed, "Oh, look! This calf is losing. Mine will surely come and kill it." Again, the bull did not return, so the king told his servants to go check on the bull in case its fate was like the rooster and the dog. They indeed confirmed that the bull has died. But because he was so big, they could not bring him back with them. "My king, indeed Dunjo's bull had defeated yours. It lies dead behind the mountain." "Darn! Why is he so good?" the king exclaimed. "Let us go home." The king left without another word. After 3 weeks, Dunjo thought that the whole ordeal was over, until the king sent some of his servants to negotiate again. But no matter how much they negotiated, Dunjo would not relent. So one day the king came and he begged and begged Dunjo. "Please, Dunjo, your wife is so beautiful, I cannot resist her anymore. Let me have your wife, and you shall have my crown, my riches, and my 9 wives back at my kingdom. I will marry your wife, and I will move here and live here, while you can be my king and govern my kingdom. And let's leave this at that. She is my wife. Why would I leave her here to marry you and become king to your kingdom?" Dunjo answered him. So Gonjo then said to Dunjo, "Dunjo, I've told you not to open the front door, that you must wait 3 years before you open the door. Yet you didn't listen." And the king heard the sound of the door opening and closing, and now he saw me and he wants to marry me. So you must go and marry all his 9 wives and be king to him and to rule his kingdom in heaven, and let the king marry me." So we're going to end this episode with that cliffhanger. We will have to find out next week whether Dunjo did go to marry the old king's 9 wives to become king, or if he decided to stay and continue his life with Gojo. All right, Sho, what are your thoughts?
I don't understand why they would build a heavy door in the first place. And if they never built that door, there would never have been a king at the end.
I think it was like more of a magical door because it was so loud that it reached heaven. So I don't think it's like heaven, but it's probably like a town or a kingdom that is as beautiful as heaven, right? But it's so loud that they have to go to so many towns and they have to point, "Oh, this is where the sound came from, and this is where the sound came from." And I was thinking about this, and I was like, could this be like a symbol of something? How he was saying that sound is like an intimidation for him, like a sound of war, right? He was like, we have stopped fighting for 10 years, and yet someone is here to intimidate me, like they're trying to set up a war again. And I was thinking to myself, why would just opening a door like that be like an intimidation to the king? It's the front door and it goes to the home. It's like the main hall. It would represent the rank of Dunjo or even his wife, right? So if this is the king of heaven, if you can say, then what if she is like, because we always know that she's probably like the princess of another kingdom. And so that door represents her royalty, I'm thinking. And the symbolism is like, oh, another royalty has made their home in his kingdom or something like that. That's what I was thinking.
That door could possibly be some kind of a portal between her world and his world. It's not just a front door that you open up into your yard, but it opens up into a different world because her parents don't really make an appearance in front of Dunjo. They come whenever he's not there or whenever he's not awake, you know. And even when they were sending those gifts, like not gifts, even when they were sending those
Yeah.
animals, they never came. They just sent servants to bring them. So I can understand that maybe she is of a different realm.
Yes. But I also thought of something scary when she was on the road and she's like, just cross over me. Can I like when I was reading, I was like, it kind of reminded me of that. But in this story, she's a princess. She's a angel princess, maybe.
An angel princess.
One thing that I thought was interesting was whenever her dad sent one of those animals, they're always like babies, right? They're like chicks or calves or was it a pup that goes against them, and then they transform into something like big. So to me, it kind of represent like, don't. It's the same thing with Tunjo, right? Because the king thinks that he can win over Tunjo, but then represents that you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, because they think that they would win against those baby animals, but in the end, it was their strong animals that lost. And the same thing, the king thought that he would win over Tunjo so easily, but he didn't. And it was because of Tunjo's power, but because of the support that he had, right? So don't ever underestimate someone, because you never know what kind of support they have, or what kind of abilities that they would have, hidden behind them. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
I really do like this story. I remember as a kid and just imagining that humongous door. I imagined it as a door that was from floor to ceiling, and it was massive because I imagined his house as big as a mansion. So it was a massive house with a massive door.
Yeah, to me, I actually imagined it just to be a regular door, but I know that that door is magical. Yeah, to me, I imagined his house just to be like those regular house that we see in those Hmong movies, like those cement house, because back then those cement house are pretty nice, right? And then we have those wooden doors that they would open and close. But to me, I was like, if you're going to build, like you said, if you were going to build like a portal to the next dimension, or if it's some kind of door, like why did you build it on the front as a front door and not like a secret door or something?
Right? Why would you put it right there? The front door is where everyone goes through. It's right there in front of you.
And if you remember what we were saying in our Cinderella story, how Cinderella, she was pretty passive. She didn't do anything. And in this one, basically, Tunjo didn't do anything. He stayed home, right, while his wife goes to the farm and manage everything. And he's just like, okay, I'll stay home. I won't open the door. So it means that he's basically inside all day. So he hasn't done anything. And his wife is the one that made the decision for him.
Yes. From the beginning until the very end, he doesn't do anything other than ask for his wife's help. Because she was the one that called her parents or her dad.
Yes.
And her dad sent the animals. And these weren't even Tundra's animals.
I vaguely remember when I was a kid and I asked mom, like, why is it that it's her parents that come and built this and all those stuff? I remember mom once saying that it's not that Dudra wasn't capable, but this is a reflection of marriage. You are a man and you can be as successful as you want, but your life doesn't really start until you have a wife. And she is the one that created your home. She is the one that does all of this stuff so that you can have children, you can have food, you can have basically everything in your life. And if for those who were never really married, then they basically just live that single young man life and never really have anything. So I was like, okay, I can see that. It's not that her parents is doing everything for them, but she is representing a wife that comes into your life that makes your house into a home, basically.
That reminds me of the quote, "Behind every great man is a great woman." And it really
Yes.
does show in this story in particular that she was the one that came and helped him set up his life. Because before her, he had nothing. And after her, he has servants, he has a house, he has a beautiful wife. He's no longer just Dunjo, an orphan boy who's poor. So his wife was the one that actually really helped
Yeah.
him.
And one thing that I really want to talk about is how Zekonjo, she is such a woman because she repeatedly tell him what he did wrong.
Like, are you talking about like a nagging wife? Like, I told you.
Yes. Yes. And you're going to see more of this in the next episode. But when I was transcribing this story, I was like, man, she's like, I told you you're not supposed to do this and you did it. And instead of just leaving it at that, the next day, she's like, I told you, and all those stuff. And I was like, okay, yeah, this is a woman. And yet she gives him a solution, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was thinking one thing that I thought that was kind of funny and kind of sad is how the king has 9 wives. And he was like, is she beautiful to my first wife? All the way to my 9 wives. And I was just like, oh, so sad for that first wife.
I know, because apparently every wife gets prettier.
Yes.
Gets more and more beautiful, is more and more beautiful. I didn't like how at the end, Dunjo's wife just tells him, "It's your fault. Now I'm gonna leave with him." Instead of just fighting it and be like, "No, no matter what, I'm gonna stay with you." She's just like, "Because of you, you did that. I'm gonna leave."
It's like she was punishing him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, in the next episode, we're going to see why she told him to go. But to me, I feel like if you listen to all of these Dunjo stories, it's always the woman that comes and she tries to make his life better, right? So for me, how I understand is, what if this is like a part of her plan, making him into a king? And she's like, I'm going to make your life better. I'm going to give you all of this. And through this, you're going to become king. And then I'll just leave. I'm sure that this is a way for her to like thank him for saving her, because she was that green bird or that green parrot that was about to be eaten by the eagle. We just want to thank you for joining us today with our story of Dunjo. And we encourage you to come back next week so we can continue with our story and see what happens to Dunjo and Zenggonjo's life. And I hope you enjoy this as much as me as I tell you this story. So we welcome you back next time, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.